This episode of FSM is brought to you by Fidelity Behavioral Alliance, your number one source for behavior change. Fidelity Behavioral Alliance creates behavior change programs for schools, parents, and organizations looking to reduce problem behaviors and improve performance outcomes. Find out more at www.fidelitybehavioralalliance.com. If you would like to sponsor an episode of FSM, email us at shitmom@gmail.com. That's shxtmom@gmail.com.
It's time to put the kids to bed, so y'all get ready for another episode of For Shitty Moms.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of FSM for Shitty Moms. This is your behavior change podcast. I'm your host, DeLauren, and today I have a special guest coming from West Palm Beach, Florida. We have Yohanna. I'm going to let her introduce herself to the audience, and then we'll jump into the interview.
All right, my name is Yohanna, and I am a wife and a mother of two. And the best thing I can tell you is I love watching movies, and I'm here for you, DeLorean. Tell me.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Usually I give the interview questions out to my interviewees like earlier and give them an opportunity to kind of look over to see what kind of questions we're going to ask, but I didn't do that today because I wanted to try something new to see how the conversation flows a little bit and where it takes us. So I'm
Oh,
just
so
going to
she's trying to new on me.
yes.
Okay. Challenge accepted.
So yeah, I just want to. So you've already introduced yourself. I usually ask our guests to kind of tell me their name, their age, where you're from, your family size, and your marital status. So you told us most of it, but let's go ahead and go through your age and your marital status.
I am 40 years old, and I am married. And
Okay.
I've been married, what, 20? It's going to be 20 years this year.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. 20 years.
Hmm.
That's huge. Okay. Congratulations. So you
Thank you.
you have a lot of experience to kind of share with us. So I'm glad to hear that. And you're a mom of two, so we get that perspective as well, which I'm interested to hear about, and I do have a lot of questions.
Okay.
So tell us about your current occupation. Tell us what you do and how has that impacted your life as a mom?
Uh, I switched careers after 13 years of banking. So now I'm an admin assistant at an elementary school. And the impact that it had was I was able to share more moments with my children because in banking, even though it was 9 to 5, the hours didn't feel 9 to 5. But this actually feels more 9 to 5 in home to enjoy my children. But they're not children anymore,
How
they're
old
young
are
adults.
they?
So
How old are they?
my oldest is going, well, he's 20, and my
Oh,
youngest just turned 18. He's a senior in high school, so he graduates this year.
oh, that's
So,
so
yeah,
exciting. Oh, I didn't
it
know
is.
that. I don't know. I
Yeah,
follow you on social media and they seem so small to me. I had no clue. Okay. I thought you were going to
yeah.
say like, "Oh, middle school, high school." Okay.
Mm-mm.
Oh, all right. So you're about to enter in that next phase like empty nester. They're going to start doing their own thing and branching out on their own pretty soon. So how
Well,
are
I
you?
want that, but I don't think that that's going to happen with the economy. They don't make it quite affordable for these young adults to become young adults. So, um, I'm pretty sure they'll be partaking in the each set of my rooms that I have in my home for
Okay.
quite some time.
But that's funny that you bring that up because I feel like when we were coming up, that was
Mm,
like the plan. You turn 18, you go to school or you move out, you get a job and you kind of
yeah.
figure it out on your own, but I feel
Hmm.
like our generation kind of realized like, "Whoa, you kind
Hmm.
of
That
just
is true.
threw us out there. Like it would have been nice to have more of a support system or
Yep.
a little more of a safety net. So that's
Hmm.
awesome that you've kind of have you talked to them about it to see what their plans are, or have you just told them like, hey, no rush, do what's best for you. You always have a place to stay. What does that look like right now?
Well, what I told them was I let them make the decision by asking them to research an apartment.
Okay.
And I gave them pretty much how much it would cost for electricity, water, cable, some life amenities, their personal items. And I told them to look at their paycheck and see if they can afford to live on their own.
Mm,
By the time they finished doing that, they realized we need to make more money. And I say, well, at this point, I'm trying to figure out how are you going to do that if, because my kids, well, my youngest is still in high school, so when he graduate, we'll see how that looks. But my oldest is more on the line of, oh, how does that look? What should I do? What kind of career path? Because he's been in the restaurant business for some time. So
okay.
he's looking at what his income can do for a livelihood, and we'll see what he comes up with. He's still filling it out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome. So you put that banker's hat on, like, all right, let's look at
I
your budget.
did. Yeah. Let's look and see how your credit looking. Let's just do all of
Yeah.
that because at the end of the day, it's like if they can't afford to live, we're gonna be their safety net for quite some time. So we don't really have that empty nest stage coming. We just have more of okay, now let's try and teach them how to be men at this
Gotcha.
point.
I like that. I like that. I
Hmm.
feel like when I was around that age, I kind of fast tracked myself through everything. And I think at one point, my mom was trying to get me to slow down a little bit,
Hmm.
like after I graduated from college. And I'm like, I'm an adult. So I remember like I was working up there in Gainesville after I graduated, not immediately after because it took a while to like find a job. So
Hmm.
when I finally found a job up there, I think I've ended up like substitute teaching as like a PE teacher. And I'm like,
Mm.
this is great. Up there, they have all of these small towns. So you're in the middle of nowhere kind of working. So I think at the time I was making like $11 an hour as a
Mm.
substitute. And I
Wow.
just knew I was grown. Like, I got
I'm
this.
I'm doing this.
Right. And she kept like, okay, I fixed your room. I think she remodeled like the flooring in my room after I graduated. She bought
Hmm.
new furniture. And I'm like, Mom, I'm not staying here. I'm getting an apartment. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And she just kind of like, okay, off $11 an hour? Like, okay. So I ended up finding a job down here teaching, and it was like, oh, you couldn't tell me anything. Like,
Mm.
let me get this apartment. But that was in 2000. When did I come back? Like, maybe 2011. So
Hmm.
even then, like the apartment was only 975 for a two bedroom, two
Mm.
bathroom, right? Everything was
Wow.
included except for I think we had to pay like the electricity. Everything else was
Hmm.
included. So you really couldn't tell me anything, but as the economy started to change, I'm like, "Oh, maybe I should have stayed home. Like I could have saved, instead of
Uh,
paying bills,
Putting it
I could
out
have,
there.
yeah,
Yeah.
I could have saved some money and done things a little differently. So, that's hindsight now. And I just
Mm.
kind of kept moving forward. But I was always told, like, pretty much you go to school, don't come back home. Like that was frowned upon. And I see now that
Wow.
things have shifted, and now a
Hmm.
lot of parents and a lot of kids are like, okay, I'm gonna stay home for some time, which is a good thing. I think a lot of other cultures kind of were ahead of the curve with that, and they
Hmm.
just, you have the
Yeah.
larger families who all live up under one roof. But now I think in our culture it's starting to make a little more sense, and more people are starting to catch on. So that's good
I
that you're
I
starting
wish
to.
that we were told to go to community colleges for the first 2 years to
Right.
save money. and then go and venture off into a university of some sort, unless it was a path of, where that school was just great in the career path you wanted. But most of all the schools start off with your general studies
Yep,
anyway.
they sure do.
um, so I wish that that was more the conversation for our generation, because you were just speaking of $11, and I'm thinking my first job I was making $3.75 an hour
Ooh. Oh
as
wow.
a yeah, I was a cart attendant at Winn Dixie.
Okay.
Um, so that was $3.75, and then I went to Target where it was $6, and I was like, "Cool, yes, $6," because I had just came from $3,
Right.
and it was six
So
dollars
you
and twenty
rich.
five cents. Yeah, and then you won't even believe it, but I went to banking and they gave me 850, and I thought,
Mm.
oh my gosh, I am rolling in dough. And
Oh.
I was there for 13 years, um not realizing, wow, this was crap, for a little bit of time with all the work that you were doing.
Mhm.
And my first apartment was 525 a month
Okay.
with water and cable included, so it
Oh.
was doable, um to pay it. But now when you look at it, you can't even find a shoe to live in for
Yeah.
525.
No,
It's
that's
like,
non-existent.
yeah, it's really crazy. But at the same time, I think that is pushing this generation to aim higher. You know what I'm saying? You can't live if you don't aim higher.
Mhm.
There's so I'm okay with that, except for if you're gonna keep making everything go up with the economy and only giving a 3% raise on most jobs,
Mhm.
you're just taking what we earn.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you instill that in your boys, like to aim higher? I feel like I can only speak from the perspective of a girl or a woman, right? Like
Hmm.
ready to get out of her mom's house and kind of just be independent.
Hmm.
But I don't see that with the boys. Like my son.
Unfortunately, it's all you can do is keep showing them that. Well, this is what I've been doing. Every like 4 to 5 months, I've been given a new bill responsibility.
Okay.
So, he has a car, so you pay your car payment, and you're gonna also pay your car insurance.
Oh.
So even though he's under us, he pays his car and his car insurance.
Okay.
Um, and then the crazy part is, as I told him to buy all of the necessities that we need for the house. So he has to buy all the cleaning supplies. He has to buy all of the, you know, if the light bulb goes out, he's responsible for things of that nature. So if we run out of washing powder or dish detergent, we look at him and be like, what happened?
Okay.
And so we show him that when you don't keep going, it doesn't just grow out of trees. Like,
Mhm.
you have to plan for it. So he's responsible for all the maintenance on his car. Um, but for right now, those in his cell phone bill, and anything else that he accrues, I gave him a credit card, or he got the credit card to build credit.
Okay.
So he's responsible for that credit bill. And I told him, if you don't have the money, you don't have to spend, because I'm not getting,
Oh
I'm not
yeah.
benefiting from your spending. So you're gonna pay your bill. So we keep giving him and adding on um, more and more items that he has to be accountable for, because bills come every month and they come faster than you think. So
Mhm.
if we keep giving him that, and we've been contemplating on whether or not to give him like a water bill or something of that nature that's small.
Mhm.
Um, but what he don't know is that when he pays it, it will go into a savings account.
Okay. Oh,
Um,
that's nice.
because we don't really want the money. We want him
Right.
to learn the responsibility of it.
Right. Okay.
So um, I was like, how are we going to do this? And I was like, let's open up another savings account for it and put it in the side. So that way, when he does decide to move out, we wanted to give him that pot of cash and say, this is what the water bill was,
Mhm.
when you paid it every month.
Oh, that's
The car
awesome.
payment and all that stuff that's his car. So he has to
Mhm.
pay that. But things of the house, we can handle that.
Right.
We just want to show him, yeah, the light bill do, the water bill do, and
Right.
get him
So
used to
no
that.
like willy nilly spending. So how is that transition? I feel like I'm trying to teach my son money management, little by little.
Hmm.
But right now, you give him $5, he thinks he's like balling out of control and it's going right, but you give him five, 4.99 is going to Robux. So what did
Well,
that look like when he
no.
was younger?
Okay, so they first got jobs. I never gave allowances. I we was too broke to give an allowance. We
Okay.
What we did was, if you got it, well, if we had it and you earned it by maybe bringing home good grades, or if you cleaned up your room without asking, we when you went to the store and you picked up something, we took notice of it and said you want that, and then that was something that they brought home.
Okay.
That's what we did when they were younger, because we didn't want them to get used to something coming in their hands every week, because it's an expectation to clean your room. I don't want to give you money to do something that you're supposed to do.
Right.
Because at the job, accountability is everything, but they pay you based on your time there, and they're not going to give you more money because you did what you're supposed to do. So I just didn't want to create that atmosphere. But when they got jobs, the first, I think, month of paychecks, I didn't even tell them, I didn't look at it.
Mm.
Whatever they wanted to do, go wild. Go wild with it, go broke with it. I didn't care. It
Okay.
was their first job. They were getting extra money that they could do what they wanted to do with it. So I didn't touch their first month with the checks. The second month, they had to put away, if it was $10, $20, it had to go in the savings account.
Okay.
I don't, from away from their paycheck. I didn't go high with them because they weren't used to putting money to the side. I never
Okay.
had to give them money.
Okay. That
So I
makes
used to
sense.
tell them, hey, put 20 in the account. Um, and they would get mad at me. Why am I? Because I want you to, you know,
Mhm.
um, put 20 and don't touch it. And then every paycheck, they just kept putting, and then they found out, I don't need all this money. Let me just take out this and put the rest.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay.
Right.
So because they realized, well, first they went on a budget, and then they realized that and that's why I did that too, because if you went buck wild and got pretty much everything you wanted, by the time the money keeps coming in, there's nothing to buy.
Right. Yeah.
So you were realizing, oh, I got $300 in here, I got $500 in here, and it's $800 in here. I'm not using this money. They pushed it to the side. They had
Mm.
bought everything that they heart desired, and then when they wanted to buy something, you got the money for it. Yeah, it's in my savings account. Go for it, because it's your
Okay.
money.
Yeah.
But they would have never learned that in the beginning. So now my son, he had saved up in 1 year about 5 to 6 grand
Oh
all on
wow,
his
that's
own.
awesome. Okay.
And that's how he got his car. He literally put down some money for his car. He had a little money to go deck it out. And
Mhm.
I was very proud of him because I didn't ask him to do that. But he realized very easily he didn't have to use all his money.
Gotcha.
So um, like I said, the way how I worked that was go wild, but now you still have to put away. Even if they don't want to put away all of it,
Mhm.
they have to put it away. And way how we got my youngest son to kind of start thinking in the lines of um, money is my oldest son car. He sold it to my younger son.
Okay.
So
Nice.
he has
Okay.
to, but he still don't own it. So
Okay.
technically, BJ is the lender.
Oh.
So my son has to pay him. He has to pay off the car, and asked him to give him $50 a month. So he was like, "Gosh, that's gonna take me a long time." I said, "Well, you're free to pay it off early, you know." But he was like, "Okay, fine." So he's been paying his brother, the lender,
Uh-huh.
$50 until he gets to 500. And then what's gonna happen is, and so he was like, "The car's going in my name." I say, "No, when your car is lended and you have a payment, it belongs to the company that
Until you
owns it
pay it
until you
off.
pay it off."
Right.
I say, so when you make your last payment, you can then ask to switch over your title to your name. So
Oh, okay.
he's like, oh my gosh, I gotta wait till I say, yes, you do. I say, it's on borrowed time. I say, so anything you do in this car is the responsibility of your brother. And I say, so that means that you can't just go willy nilly all around the corner
Right.
doing what you want to do with it. So I'm teaching them real life with us, and the money is going to his brother because he could have sold it to the dealership
Mm.
for a decent amount of money, but
Right.
he was like, "I'll give it to you," because it was a owned car.
Mhm.
So they're doing what they have to do
Oh, that's
to own their
awesome.
vehicle. So that's a little. way I've been trying to manipulate that situation.
Okay, that's
So
like banking 101. Parenting, like banking, parenting 101. That's awesome. So that
but no
way,
interest, so he's kind of like not losing. But if he's late though, it goes up $5.
oh,
So if he's late
okay.
with the payment, he got to pay $5 extra.
That's awesome. So
He
now
sure
you
do.
even have your older son kind of guiding and teaching the younger
Yeah,
one. That's awesome.
yep.
That's
He have his hand out with my money, and then and I told him, I say, you do the same thing. Your credit card company does. They send you a bill. You got about 14 days to pay it. I say, give him a little reminder. Hey, first of the month. Don't forget my 50. And
okay. So did he get that from you guys? From
yeah,
his, okay, from you guys asking him, like, hey, you have
I
this to
don't
pay. Where the
ask them
toiletries?
nothing.
Oh,
Well, the toilet when the toiletries is not done, and they looking, me and my husband keep a stash. We never go out, okay? So when
so they
they
on
looking
their
like we
own.
ain't got no more toilet tissue, what happened? You didn't buy? Oh,
Uh oh.
sorry. Yeah, so that's on them.
Oh, so they're doing
Me
the
and
grocery shopping and all that stuff on their own as well.
they only do toilet tissue, cleaning supplies, um, like I said, light bulbs. They do stuff that pertains to like the odds and ends that they
Mm-hmm.
don't realize you have to buy. And
Mm,
I'm
that's
doing
nice.
that simply because not only just to add responsibility, but when you're doing your budget, you need to put that in there.
Yes.
Those things exist. And so when they sometimes you like this this washing powder like $11. I was like, oh, I say, but you got to wash your clothes. You go to work,
Yeah.
so go ahead and get it. And then he was like, "Should I get this big one?" Now he's thinking about, is his money too short or
Mm-hmm.
long? He's like, maybe I should get this powder. And I'm like, don't be getting nothing that's gonna make our skin itch now. And he's like, but it's cheap. And I was like, well, you get that for you, but you get us the all, okay? Because we ain't got time for that.
Right.
But
You get what you
um,
pay for. That's another lesson,
exactly,
right?
yeah. If your clothes come out messed up, don't buy that cheap stuff.
Right.
That's
Has he tried
so
like
they
couponing or like, trying to shop the sales, that kind of thing?
I have never coupon.
No.
That's Yeah, I feel a little embarrassed to say that. I have never
Well,
couponed
couponing
because
takes a lot. It
it
you have
do.
to be
Every
on
time I
it.
turned around, it was expired. I was like,
Yeah.
y'all still gonna honor this? They was like, no,
No.
baby. I'm like, dang.
No.
I'll just walk away.
Yeah, you have
I
to
felt so
be
bad.
aggressive and you have to be consistent. Once you get into the world of couponing, I know I did it when I had to buy diapers and formulas. You
Hmm.
start to realize, okay, I know is this time of month, this ad is going to go, like they're going to run this ad, the manufacturer's coupon. Like I knew the manufacturers for
Wow.
Similac is going to drop on this date. The
Oh my
manufacturers for
God, that's too
Pampers
much.
is going to drop on this date. If I do it on like this time of the month, then I can double up the manufacturers and the store coupon and like, make your money stretch. So once you
Oh my
get
God, I
into
can't do
it,
that.
no, I mean, I had to, like you said, I was on a teacher salary, and I always say like a new
Hmm.
teacher salary. Teachers today get way more than like what we were making when I first started, and that was
Oh, that's true.
maybe
That's
like
true.
10 years ago. I think when I started before
It was like
taxes,
28, 30.
yeah, it was pretty low. So I would like coupon because a little container of Similac that was like $30, but it'll only
Hmm.
last you for like a week. So I would do like breastfeeding and then I would do the formula to kind of make it stretch, right? Because the
Wow.
formula was a little more convenient than breastfeeding around the clock. And I never
Mm.
got to the point, like, shout out to those moms who have that, like, extra stash of breast milk in the freezer. I never got to that point. So it was always
Wow.
like counting drops of breast milk and, like, okay, we got
Mm.
one. I think I had like one or two pouches and was like, yes, like, I can freeze these two pouches. Like, that's going to be gone pretty soon. So once that's how I kind of got introduced to couponing, and believe it or not, my hotspot was Target. Between
Mm.
like the 5%, I used to be like, okay, that's like my taxes. But then starting to double up those manufacturers coupons between Target and Publix. I know everybody is like, stay away, but if you have your coupons, plus like the store sales and the store ads, you can make your dollar stretch. So that's what I
Wow.
started with my son over the summer because he was home a lot this summer. And I'm like, look, I'm not going to sit up here looking at you eating up all the snacks like for the whole, they don't use their school stomach when they're home on vacation. So I'm like,
That's true.
I just went to the grocery store. The snacks are gone already. So I started giving him $40. You got $40 for snacks for the next 2 weeks. After that, after those snacks are gone, like
Hmm.
I'm not giving you a bottle of water if you use everything before these 2 weeks are done. And I put him on a 2 week schedule because that's when I got paid. So I would treat it
Gotcha.
like his payday. Like, hey, people get paid every 2 weeks. So this is what you get from
Mm,
me for your groceries. Here's the sale ad. And I would make him circle like what he wanted. And then we just started
mhm,
reading the signs in the store. Look, if, when it says 50% off, that means you pay half the price. When it says BOGO, that means you can get two for the price of one. So, what
mhm.
are you going to get? And sometimes, if he really wanted a certain snack, okay, fine. But when the money is gone, like, it's gone. So, I think it
It's
happened with like
gone.
a bag of Takis. Like, Takis are expensive. Chips are like ridiculous now. The price of chips
Yeah,
are
yeah.
out of
That's stupid.
control. Yeah, but he loves those Takis. So I think he bought one bag of Takis and was like, "Oh, I don't have any money." Yeah, and you're hungry, right? I don't know what to tell
Oh my
you.
God.
Like he's like, "Mom, it's nothing to eat. We got to go to the store with what money?
I
Like it
know.
hasn't been 2 weeks yet. Your $40 are gone." So then it was like,
Wow.
oh, so then he started, well, maybe I should get a bag of chips instead of the individual chips. Maybe I should
Mhm.
get this. So I've been trying to show him that way because he's like a little snack monster and just want to eat up everything. Okay, well, here's your
Right.
budget. And when the money is gone, it's gone. So he started like, oh, I got a few dollars. I have seven. One week it was like, Mom, we have to go to the store. It's no more snacks, but I have $7 left. I'm like, okay. I didn't even bother telling him about taxes. Like, he's not ready for that part yet. So I'm like, look,
Mm-mm.
if you
Yeah.
have
It's
$7,
gonna go fast, son. Pick
right?
pick well. Choose wisely. I totally understand.
Yep. So it's like, I'm just trying to figure out different ways to show him. But I feel like I'm not that confident in money management myself. So it's
Mhm.
almost like I'm learning it and then I'm trying to teach him as we go because my grandma used to teach me about managing money and pretty much that management style was like whatever you get, you put half of it away. So
Wow.
really, if you get $100, you don't even have $100, you have $50.
Mm.
And I did that a lot, but now with juggling like household expenses, recently I always bought used cars and just paid for them like straightforward. This is my first time having a car payment, and I'm like, this is too much pressure. Like, I don't like it. They
Yeah.
are so disrespectful. They just take the money like right out of
Yeah.
your account as soon as I get paid. Like, I see that.
I don't want it anymore.
Right. I see that payment processing like, oh, this is just so rude. You don't even let the paycheck like sit in the account.
Yeah.
They just,
No. You.
they're deducting right away. So I said this year my goal was to just really see where I am financially.
Mhm.
That's the first step because everything else is just overwhelming. So see where I am financially and set some goals for myself. That was
Mhm.
the first part. But as I'm learning it, I don't want my son to start learning this at my age. So now I'm like, all right, we're going to practice right now with you while you're young so we can just develop some good habits. So you're
Yeah.
not 30 plus years old trying to figure it out like I am. You've just
Mhm.
already developed good habits already, but he's very headstrong.
Mhm.
And he's young, but he's very headstrong. So putting away 50%, he is looking at me like, look, I wanted these Robux. Like you dipping into my Robux money. Like he's not with it. So I'm like, okay, well, how much? Now it's like, well, how much do you want to put away? So I've been kind of
Mm,
consistent with that. I'll let you pick the number. Like if you get your allowance, he gets $10 for cleaning out the car. He gets
mm,
an that's from me. He gets $10 from cleaning out the car, my car, because he usually is the one to mess it up. So he has to clean the car every week, and he'll
mm,
make $10. With
mm,
dad, it's the trash. So if he takes trash out the 2 days of the week and puts it back in the backyard, he gets another $10. So he's already like, oh, that by the end of the year, that's like $1,000. Yeah, it is, but you have to
mm.
do it. Like, you
Yep.
have to do it. So now he's down to like consistently getting about $10 because if we have to remind you, you're not getting it. If we have to help you, you're not getting it. If it becomes a
Makes
battle
sense.
to get you to do what you're supposed to do, not happening. You either do it and get the money or you don't. So
Mm,
now whenever he gets money, I just ask, how much are you putting away? So that way he can get
mm.
used to like, no, you are not
Making his own
getting,
decision.
yeah, you're not getting $10 straight away. It's probably like $8 or $7, and then you got to work with that. So,
Mm,
and he does have a little savings account that the money just kind of goes in at, and I don't even want him thinking about it. Don't even think about it. That money is not there. You know,
mm-hmm,
you'll use it when you need it, but right now he doesn't need it. So that's kind of where we're at with the money and
mm-hmm,
the budgeting. But I like the way you have them taking care of little things around the house that they need, because I feel like with
mm-hmm.
boys, they're a little absent minded a little bit. So I feel like washing clothes, I can tell my son to wash clothes and he will use like a whole half a bottle of like detergent trying to wash one load of clothes. So I'm wondering, do your kids like pay attention, and are they a little more conservative with those things around the house because they have to pay for it, or not yet?
The crazy part is that okay, so my oldest son, his uniforms, he has like 5 uniforms.
Mhm.
So he can kind of like wing it a little bit, and clean at the end of the week. But my younger son uniform, they only gave him one shirt.
Mm.
Um, and so I was like, buy a new one. And he was like, I've asked him for a new shirt. So he literally works 4 days out of the week and he has to wash his clothes.
Yeah.
If he don't wash it, he works at Bud's, and Bud's, that fast food is, the smell is
Oh
horrific.
yeah. Oh yeah.
So when he comes home, I be like, to the washing machine. If it's not the wash machine, I have taught them how to hand wash and showed
Okay.
them how a little bit of soap go a long way too. But he be so tired afternoon. So I don't want to say he's conservative. I think that he just, at that point, he just has to do a full load. So
Mhm.
he does what
Okay.
he has to do to do a full load. My kids have been doing their own laundry since, I would say, 6th grade.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, because my thing is they were boys, and I was like, y'all need to know how to wash your clothes. So I had them to separate their clothes, and then I would put them in the washing machine. Then they learned very quickly that they didn't want to wash their clothes together because their socks got mixed up.
Mhm.
So I end up they had to rotate the washing machine. So I don't think that I think they are conservative only because they realize a little bit go a lot of
Okay.
ways, and then they don't even use like a full laundry. Like they'll say, "Oh, this is a small stash," so they'll put it on short wash or a small
Okay.
wash. So they're very keen on that. The only thing I dropped the ball with was cooking. I haven't taught them really how to cook for themselves. They can do
Mhm.
some things.
Okay.
Um, like I'm good at breakfast. I hate dinner food. My husband's good at dinner food.
Mhm.
Um, and they kind of cling to both. So they know how to cook some stuff for breakfast and they know how to cook some stuff for dinner. But if I tell them put that chicken in the oven, do the rice, they're gonna look at me like, what? No, that
Okay.
ain't happening. If anything, if I say that, my son is gonna put chicken in the oven. It's not gonna be seasoned,
Mm.
and he's gonna go
Okay.
buy rice and he's gonna go buy vegetables and say, "This is what we have," it, and I'm like, "Okay, no, no problem."
But
So
it sounds
I
like you did a lot though, with teaching
I
them.
did. I did because I had boys. If it was girls, I think I would be even more aggressive. But with boys, they're going to eventually have wives, and I didn't want their wives to be like piece. I don't know. Should we say profanity? Um,
Sure.
yeah, you know, piece of shit men. What did you raise? I didn't want
Right.
them to do that to my boys. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I was like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna? So I just want them to know how to do certain things. And then I told them too, y'all gonna have to live by yourself for a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, so I wanted them to know how to clean blinds and make sure they knew how to make up their bed and just be clean men. So I did a lot when they were younger. I did. I just did a lot to make sure that they were self sufficient. I didn't have girls, so I had to find something for them to do, and then my husband would do whatever he needed to do for them, and
Okay. N-
that's just what it was. I just didn't. It wasn't no bias. It was just like y'all my kids. Y'all need to learn it. Come
Okay.
on, let's do it.
That's fair. Now, do you think because you shifted careers that allowed you to be more hands-on, do you think if you would have continued like the banking
Mm.
uh career path, you still would have been able to do as much as you've done with them?
I would say no, because
Mm,
mentally I was drained when I got home.
okay.
I was mentally drained, and when I looked around the house, if I would see something out of order, I was so frustrated at even thinking about doing laundry. I was frustrated at even thinking about cleaning. Um, because my before my tail end of it, I was working in Boca.
Mhm.
Um, and I had to be there by even though the bank opened at 9, their drive through opened at 8. So
Okay.
I would have to leave my home. I never got them dressed in the morning. My husband had to take on those responsibilities. I would kiss them, and they were still sleeping because if I didn't get out of the house by 6:30 to get there by 7:30 to at least have breakfast and just in case I had to get gas, I would be on the road for about a good 45 minutes because of
Mm,
traffic.
right. Yeah.
So they were still sleeping in elementary. And then I was like, man, my babies. And that was dark outside.
Yeah.
And then I got home because drive through closed at 5. I didn't leave out of there till 5:30. So I didn't get home till 6:30,
Right.
even
That's
though
the
I
whole
was
day.
working an 8-hour shift.
Yeah.
Um, I just, and then when we used to sit at, what one thing we tried to foster was sitting at the dining room table and telling each other about our days.
Okay.
And what caused me to make the shift was one day I was like, yeah, and this is what happened at work. And I was going from here to Albuquerque with the problems. And my kids, I'll never forget it. They took their fork and they slammed it, not slammed it, but you know how you just drop your fork and you hear it clink on the plate. And they was
Mhm.
like, Mommy, again? And I looked at them and I was like, what? And they were like, you never happy when you come
Oh.
home from work.
Oh. Oh no.
And it was like one of those eye opener moments. Um, and I just said, I got to make a change. And then when I did that, I had to find a job on the same caliber of what I was on with benefits and this and that.
Yeah.
And I didn't go college. So I knew that when I left the bank, I was going to be starting from the bottom.
Mm. Okay.
So it was a very hard decision. And I think that because of that, that's why I became so money conscious with them because my income dropped $26,000.
Oh my goodness. Oh gosh.
So
That's
it was not
significant.
a little bit of my. It was
That's
it
huge.
equivalated to it was the equivalent to $900 a month
Oh.
that
Wow.
I lost.
Okay.
So I sat my kids down. I went to my husband. We made a decision. We knew we was consciously going into that direction.
Yeah.
So when we sat down, I was like, I may not be able to do everything. If I say no, please don't be mad at mommy for saying no. Um, just know that if I can't, I can't. And if I can, give me time to make it happen. You know, between
Mhm.
my husband and I income, give us time. And my kids at a very young age was like, okay, mommy. So they
Yeah.
didn't get 80 million pairs of shoes.
Right.
I always told them, pick out two pairs of shoes. But then I told them, hey, pick out a white pair and a black pair. It goes with everything.
Yep.
But then at the end of the day, they wanted all the colors. But my
Mhm.
kids never complained. They picked out a white shoe, they picked out a black shoe. If they picked out a color shoe, I said, you wearing it with everything you got. I don't care. You know, and they
Yeah.
were like, all right, mom, we want it, we want it.
Okay.
And then they were boys growing with bigger feet. So they were very conscious of, I say, okay, for school clothes, y'all have one time we had 250 a piece. And
Mhm.
then one time they had 500 a piece. If I got a bonus or my business started to pick up a little bit, I would say, okay, y'all got 600 a piece.
Mm.
Um, the blessing part was my mom always rotated who she bought. Well, my mom and dad, they rotated which grandchild they bought that year. So
Okay.
one year it was mine, and I was like, hallelujah, it's my year. Okay.
Oh, that's
And they was
smart.
like,
That's awesome.
yeah, it was like a blessing. They was like, well, what do y'all want? And they were like, shoes, shoes. We want shoes. And I was like, they want shoes. So I was responsible for uniforms and the school supplies.
Mhm.
But then when my mom and dad bought the shoes, it was like, they shoes cost this much. No, no, it's not that much. I promise you. Just keep doing it. Keep buying it.
Right.
Um, but then when they that's why when their first paycheck came, I let them pay and do whatever they wanted
Awesome. Okay.
because they were on a limited budget and they were awesome at it.
Right. Okay.
So, but we would tell them you have 300, and then they would go into the store and they would see pants for $60. I'm like 240.
Ooh. Yeah. That's
Like, is that what you really want? And
right.
I used to tell them, go to the clearance rack. Them same
Yeah.
pants that look just similar to that might work. And they used to be like, clearance rack. I was like, let me direct you to this rack. And they used to
The
look so bad.
world
It used to look
of
rummaged
clearance.
through.
Yeah.
But they used to be like, okay. And then the one thing I did love about them was my oldest son. He was a senior. I never forget. He was a senior in high school, and they both had the same amount of money. But once he spent all that he wanted to, he gave the rest to his brother.
Oh
And he said, "You can."
wow.
Yeah, he was like, "You can use the rest of my money," and it was like close to like $150, like from the 400 or something that we gave him.
Mhm.
Um, and he was like, "Let's go, my youngest, let's go. We got $150." I was like, so
Oh,
that
that's
was
so
like,
sweet.
okay,
Okay.
yeah, it was. But when he was like, now what? It was so funny because he would be like, "What am I gonna get? What am I gonna get? Y'all buy my book bag, right?" And I'm like, "Yes, we buying the book bag." And he was like, "Okay, okay, okay." And it was so exciting because he knew, okay, I know it's not a lot, but I know I can get at least two more shirts or four
Mhm.
more shirts. And I was like, okay. So they were money conscious from a very young age because they had to be.
Right.
And now I think that because of how they are with their money now, they bought everything that they want. And then when they really and truly want something, they save up for it. They don't even ask us for it. They save up for it and then they do it.
Oh,
We
that's
still
nice.
take care of my youngest son haircuts.
Mhm.
We take care of we still take care of his clothing too. I told him, I say, even though you're 18, legally, people don't know this, but legally, while kids are still in high school, their 18 don't mean anything. They're
Right.
still legally children.
Yeah. Yep.
So I always tell them, you may have turned 18, but baby, I'm still responsible for you. And
Right.
now, if he was a drop out of high school and never go back, I am not legally obligated to him
Okay.
going to
Then he's
school. If he
officially
actually
an adult.
he's officially an adult. But
Okay.
until then, I tell him all the time, I'm responsible for you. So yes, I'm gonna still help you make some decisions. And then when I think back about it, they so young minded. They nothing like how I was when I was 18.
Yeah,
Nothing.
I agree.
You know? So it's like, yeah, baby, you still ain't got no how they my mom used to say, you ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. So just go ahead and sit down
Right.
and relax
Yeah.
and let me show you
That's
what can possibly be done.
that's amazing. I feel
So
like my family has come through. I can't tell you the last time I bought clothes. My son, he's younger than most of his cousins. He's probably like
mm,
the second or third youngest. So
Mhm.
we have been so blessed. He has a cousin, like all of his cousins are very fashion forward, and we have
Mm.
been so blessed. Like they will give us like, "Oh, my son can't wear these clothes," or like, "Oh, he had
Mm.
a growth spurt." When I say we have had bags and bags and bags of clothes, just like, "Here, come pick it up, come get it." And it
Yeah.
was to the point where we haven't, I don't think my husband and I have really gone shopping for my son in the last 2 3 years, like for clothes.
Wow.
We his entire wardrobe from family, and like some of the, like the clothes are really nice. Like I said, they're very fashion forward, so I don't even know what the latest styles are because we
Mm.
just have a closet full of clothes.
Wow.
A lot
That's a
of this,
blessing.
yeah, a lot of the stuff still had tags on it, so clothing has never really been an issue, and that afforded me the opportunity, like as I was making the transition from one career to the next, it afforded me the
Mhm.
opportunity to kind of take advantage of the sales, and double
Mhm.
up on like the school uniforms. So even our school
That's good.
uniforms, I always buy like the bigger sizes and just make him wear it until, he can't.
Mhm.
And I get what I do instead of the black and white shoes. My son likes color. Like that just fits his personality. So I started buying
Mhm.
shoes with at least 3 to 4 colors in each sneaker.
Mhm.
So now you can wear whatever because more than likely that color is going to be in whatever you're wearing. So
Mhm.
I've been doing that for like the last, maybe like the last 3 years. And I'll say
Mhm.
this year was my first year having to go back out to buy like uniform shirts because we just had so many uniform shirts that we just kind of wore from. I just got rid of the last set of uniform shirts from like preschool because in preschool they,
Mhm.
once they hit VPK, they had to wear red. So I just kind of
Mhm.
loaded up on red, and that's his favorite color, and then we kind of switched out from there. So you just get resourceful when you have to, right?
Yeah, you do.
And now I'll say because we haven't had to worry about shopping and clothes, even some of the clothes he can't even fit right now, so we still have brand new clothes for him because he's not big enough. He's not tall enough to wear them.
Mhm.
So we really only had to worry about the uniforms, and I think I bought so many colors and so many sizes, we're not going to have to worry about that for another couple of years. He'll just keep wearing them. He'll keep wearing what he has until he outgrows it. And really, we've just been buying shoes because, kids, they grow so fast. The shoes, from point A to B, one day you look up, he's a size 6. The next day, up, he's a 6.5. Too small, you got to get rid of
Mhm.
those. So we've really only had to buy like shoes, tank tops, and underwear for him. Everything else has been given to us. So that's been like a huge blessing because I can't imagine. Like sometimes I'll hear my friends talking about taking their kids shopping, and I'm like, wow, we really don't go shopping for clothes. Like I wouldn't even really know where to start. Most of
Mhm.
my shopping that I do for myself, I'll do something off of Amazon, and I'm good to go. I'll pick out like a work uniform. I say that loosely because I kind of make up my own uniform for work, but once something works, all right, I'll get a couple of colors and with these tops, a couple of colors with these bottoms, and I don't have to think about what I'm wearing. And it's kind of the same thing for him. So I'm just kind of wondering with him getting older, how that is gonna change. Like, are the peers gonna start to influence what he's
No,
wearing or
he's
what
just
he
gonna grow
likes?
so big that they're not gonna be able to fit them.
Oh,
BJ and Aaron, yeah, BJ and Aaron for a long time was polar opposites. Like I knew I could pass BJ clothes to Aaron.
mm-hmm.
Eventually, they start wearing the same size,
Okay,
and that
gotcha.
was when it got okay, oh Lord, life just hit me, and it was like, and so what I end up doing was garage sales. So I
Okay.
would take their clothes that they couldn't fit, and when we had the garage sales at my mom's house, whatever clothes of theirs that sold, that money went to them.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Um, yeah, so we didn't give it away and go down to a nephew or whatever. I taught them somebody else can use this. So I didn't
Yeah.
take their ugly, nasty clothes out there. I took fresh, nice clothes out there, and they would sell their uniform shirts for like $2 a piece.
Okay.
They would sell their pants for like $5 a piece. Um, even their shoes, we would sell them for $10 a piece. Um, and eventually, that's what they was like. Okay, we ain't getting rid of this. So I used to have bags and bags in my closet, not my closet, but their closet or in the garage. And
Mhm.
I used to twist them up. And I used to be like, okay, the garage sale is happening over the summer. Whatever clothes don't fit, put it in here.
Right.
And that's what we did. Because when they got to the same size, like the crazy part is BJ is like a 9.5 shoe, and Aaron is a 10.5.
Okay.
So I couldn't pass shoes to them anymore.
Right.
Um,
Right.
it was like he put his foot in there and he was like, "Mom, this hurt, this hurt, this hurt." I'm like, "Oh my god, like when did you do that?" And then so it was like, man. And then Aaron is like tall;
Mhm.
he's like 6 feet. So none of the clothes that BJ had. He started growing in ninth grade. He went taller than BJ. People started thinking he was the older brother instead of BJ was the older
Oh
brother.
boy.
So it was
Okay.
you lose that. So
Okay.
you only have one. But
Mhm.
what's gonna happen with him is that the clothes that you thought that you was holding to the side that he could fit when he go to actually put that on because you think,
Oh
oh, we're moving
yeah.
on to the next size. It was
He's
already
gonna
gone.
skip
You
it.
missed the
Yeah.
boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
I
I
keep
was
trying to wait for that to like happen. So I'm like, well, just try it on. Let's see if it fits yet. Just try it because that happened with a pair of like brand new shoes. He never got to wear them. His feet were too big, and I'm like,
mm-hmm.
oh, okay.
Yep.
So yeah.
When I did a closet clean out, I did a closet clean out right at Christmas break.
Mhm.
I did a closet clean out. I did one at spring break, did a closet clean out, and then I did one right before school ended in May. I did a closet clean out. And then I would start saving up then for money for school clothes in May, April, May
Okay.
time. So when the summertime hit,
You can
but I
catch those
didn't even buy
sales.
his
Yeah.
clothes for school until July
Right.
because they were still growing in June. So it was like
Yeah.
I couldn't even buy shoes. I couldn't do anything. So the money just had to be there. But we did the garage sale in July. In June. So all those clothes that I see now that can fit, we sold those that went into the bucket. And
Mhm.
but I had to do 3 cleanouts for them per year just to
Okay.
make sure that I was on point. And then it was like I would look at their closet and be like, "Oh, we need to go shopping.
Mm.
Okay, it's time that I get some." I couldn't help it.
But that's interesting that you how long ago was this? Like are you still doing that now that they're working or how long
Trouble
ago
if they
was it?
don't do it now, that's their business.
Oh, okay. How long ago was it? Because I feel like what you're describing that could help so many parents right now like with
I did
everything
it
going
the
up.
whole elementary, middle, and high. I
Okay.
never stopped.
Okay. That's awesome because that
I
is
never stopped.
I mean, somebody listening to the show, they could start that right now. If they have a closet full of
Mm-hmm.
stuff, you can start it right now. Start saving, start tagging,
Yeah.
start organizing and separating, and then go ahead and do that yard sale because right
Mm-hmm.
now, look, the price of everything is going up. Salaries are
Yep.
slowly like trailing behind and not quite catching up.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be resourceful. So that's
Yep.
amazing that something that you were doing years ago is relevant to right now, what some people
Mm-hmm.
probably need to do right now. Because typically, I've been calling like the Breast Cancer Foundation, or I'll call the Vietnam veterans. And my son, he has really nice clothes. The way that I'm able to keep his clothes for so long is I'm very particular about how we wash the clothes. We don't always dry the clothes
Mm-hmm.
in the dryer. Like, it's certain
Correct.
things that you
Hang them
can
up.
do to make them last longer.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like certain shirts from like certain stores, I know which brands I'm gonna get so they'll last longer, and which ones,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna buy because they fade or they tear, they rip. So
Yep.
I feel like whenever I'm going through that, I just kind of call and I'll donate because I'm like, hey, if somebody's going to like a Goodwill or a thrift store, they're gonna get some when they open this bag of clothes, like they're gonna get some pretty nice things. If we donate
Mhm.
uniforms and stuff like that to the school, I go ahead and I starch and iron and press them up at home, so that way whoever gets
Mhm.
those clothes from the school, they're getting something nice. They're not getting something faded and worn out and worn down. Whatever kid gets those clothes from us, they're going to be able to wear those clothes and feel good about what they have on and not feel
Yeah.
like, I'm getting hand me downs. You know, they're not getting anything that
Yeah.
looks worn. It looks pretty nice. And that's what I've been trying to instill in him. Like, take care of your stuff because when you're done with it, we can
Mhm.
give it to somebody else and they can use it as well. So that's how we
Yeah.
manage here. But I love that you're like having them take what they buy and then flip it and then use that
Mhm.
profit to go ahead and if you want to go shop, if you want to go buy something, if you want to stick it in savings, like that's
Yeah.
your choice. I love that.
Well,
So,
when I found out that Goodwill made so much money from
do
getting
they?
clothes for free, I
Mm,
was like, wait a minute. They're getting it for free and then selling it. And I know it was at a discount or a bargain price,
yeah.
but I was like, there's so many people that ride around that we can use that money for us, you know. Um, love Goodwill. I go in there all the time,
Mhm.
especially when they had them little red dot sales, baby. I be on it. But for the most part, it was like, let me think about this a little bit more. So I started thinking about this a long time ago, and we started a family garage sale yearly, and we always do it. And I've never regretted it. I've
Oh,
never
nice.
regretted it.
Okay.
I've always felt like, you know what, we put our hard earned. They getting it at a deal, or
Yeah.
still
Yep.
whatever, you know, because you can't go in the store and buy no shirt for $2. So,
Correct.
and I know it's not new, but at the same time, it was better than most.
Yeah, and it's $2.
So yeah, it was $2. Like you can use that when he want to just play in the mud. I don't care.
Yeah.
Now it's just $2 instead of you going into the store. But my kids, I realized everything had a value.
Mhm.
Um, no matter what it was, even if it was a bad shirt and you didn't want it anymore, you could rip that shirt up and use it as a rag. Everything
Mhm.
has something it can be used for. So
Absolutely.
I always kept that. I've never seen them throw away stuff, and they would always be like, "Mom, you can use this." Let me think. We always go to each other and be like, "You want this?" And it'd be some crazy things that they come up with, but I'd be like, "Dang, I didn't even think to use it. I want it back." You know, because now they don't thought of something that I ain't think of.
Right.
So I was like, "I want it back. I want to use it for that." And then, you know, but other than that, yeah, I
So you have them
they we
maximizing their
repurpose.
resources for sure. That's amazing.
Hmm.
Yeah, repurposing for sure. I wanted to
Yeah.
go back because you said you were able to do all of these things like once you shifted careers. Did you find that
Hmm.
like are you happier once you made the change in the shift?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Like
Okay.
I look at the bank and be like, "Ooh, I'm so happy I'm gone." I mean, I love the bank. I love what it afforded, the opportunities for me. It taught me a lot of customer service skills and um, the income variations that I learned. I can't complain about what I learned in banking.
Mhm.
Um, but being in the educational system and putting it both together is unparalleled. Like the it's right up my alley. I'm a paper pusher by
Okay.
nature, so customer service is fine. It's just, you know, you deal more face to face with people. This here is more of detail orientation, and that's who I am. So not only was my career shifted me there, but when I'm done at the job, when I came home, I could be present with my
Right.
kids. I didn't have to worry about what I didn't do. Like sometimes when I came home, I would be like, oh my gosh, I didn't do that sale. Or we would get audits, and it was like, oh my gosh, we got to take that. You know, the auditors might come and show up any day, and then you basically getting tested all day. I
Mhm.
don't have that stress, so I didn't come home and then look at like things to study every single day.
Mhm.
Um, and my kids, I could help with homework. Um, sometimes we would just go outside and throw the football with each other.
Aw.
Sometimes I would come home and take a nap, and they would be like, um, they just never bothered me, you know. And it was
Okay.
like once I got home, I was happy to share more happy stories
Okay.
than
That's
sad
important.
stories. Um, it was like we when we sat at the table, it was like I don't know, it became fulfilling. It became
Gotcha.
more fulfilling. So yeah, I always tell people if your peace of mind is being shaken, then you need to go and unshake it. Go find the peace that you need, at least for a little bit. Every job is stressful,
Yeah.
but it was worth it for me.
Okay.
Very much worth it.
That's awesome. And it sounds like they recognized it as well. And
They did.
I feel like I can kind of identify. I feel like I'm at a crossroads now, leaving one field, going to the other, and it's getting to the
Mhm.
point where I guess mine is the opposite, right? Because I started with a
Mhm.
super low salary, and now I'm making the higher salary, but I'm like feeling like I'm always on the clock. Like, okay,
Mm.
how do we strike the balance here? Because I'm off the clock, but I'm still getting text messages. Um, I'll be honest, the last 2 weeks, like, usually we have reports that are due um, to the insurance companies like every 6 months. So the
Mhm.
reports are pretty detailed, pretty thorough, and I feel like I'm getting better at it. But now I've had maybe 4 reports due like back to back to back. So I
Mm.
want to say for the last 2 weeks, I've been sleeping on the couch because I'll wake up at like 1 o'clock in the morning, trying to get these reports done because they will expire. And you know, I work with kids with special needs, and if
Mhm.
the reports aren't in on time, they're not signed. The insurance companies, they will kick it back if they want more information or more details. And if that's not done within a certain time frame, the kids will lose their services. So for me,
Mhm.
it's like that clock starts ticking, and I've inherited like all of these cases where the plans are due like back to back. Right now, I've been working on 2 plans, 2 reports that are due 2 days apart. So for the last 2 weeks, I've been sleeping on the couch, and like,
Mhm.
because
Well,
I
but
don't
you
want
know
to.
what? I got advice from two different people. One, you never get back no time frame with your kids. You can never get that back. And even though you're doing everything to be there for them, and make sure that they are well maintained, and you're doing everything you can to make sure that they're not feeling what you're feeling. They will always remember something you didn't do.
Mm,
It's just inevitable. But the thing is if you find balance, what you're gonna end up creating is a self fulfillment of I did all that I could,
yeah,
even if it didn't meet um their
expectation.
expectation. But the thing is you must find balance, because as I am now older, when you have all of that running through your mind, the health issues start,
Yeah,
because you don't want that. You don't want the anxiety to start. You don't want the panic attacks to happen. You don't want the sleepless nights, because you actually still have things that you have to fulfill
yeah,
for your job. It's not ever family life. You always are enough at home, because they understand your job. But you're never enough for your job.
mm-hmm,
But you try and keep pouring into it, and it's not working. So I have learned to now find balance. So the crazy part is that the only way I can tell you, when you have a business though, you're they say you never stop working when you have
yeah,
your own business. And
yeah,
I can truly attest to that. Like sometimes I'll be sleeping, I'm like, ooh, that's what I can put on that table to decorate. And I'm like, I'm asleep and I'm writing it down before I forget, because it comes visually to me. And then I'm like, okay, now I can go back to sleep. And I was like, whoa, I was like, I just woke up to put a whole design down on paper because it came to me in my sleep.
mm-hmm,
But doing the taxes and making sure you have all the write-offs and making sure you have all the P's and Q's dotted with the income coming in versus the income going out. And then it can be overwhelming
yeah,
and you find yourself not balancing again.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you that whatever you already know what elements you have for the report. I'm going to tell you to write it as you go, because when you write it as you go, it's done. It's like
Mm-hmm.
literally almost done. Um, I prioritize at work too. Like I put things in piles and I'll be like, gonna conquer that today. I ain't touching you at all today.
Mm.
And okay, maybe I'll touch you. And
Okay.
whatever I don't get done, I'm okay with it. The things
Gotcha.
that have to get done though, it presses on me to where I'm like, okay, you have to get done today. That
Right.
goes in front of me. No ifs, ands, or buts, but it has to be done within that time frame. I'm getting paid to do it within this time frame.
Yeah.
People come in and out my door all the time, and I'll be like, no,
Mm.
doing this.
I like that. Flex that
And
no muscle.
you have
Yeah,
to.
I don't. I have
Yeah, you
not.
have to.
Yeah, I have not. I get parents calling constantly. And I think yesterday I was like, does this lady think I'm like her concierge for her kid? Like,
Yeah,
she's
she do.
snapping at
She
me.
do.
She's giving me attitude. And I'm like, ma'am, I'm not a social worker. Like, but sometimes I feel like I'm a social worker. Like, I'm the behavior therapist. This is what I do within, you know, this
Mm-hmm.
box right here. This is the rest of it. Mommy, that's on you. So I've been trying to strike
But
the,
you know what? You fall in the medical field.
yeah,
You fall in the medical field, and they kind of expect 12
yes.
hours out of you.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm feeling it now. I have a
Yeah.
set, I think with the, I don't know, it's twofold. So I do behavior therapy online, and I feel like I have a
Mm-hmm.
certain set of parents, let's say higher tax bracket, and they have a certain level of expectations, right? So
Mm-hmm.
this is where I feel like I am not the child care concierge, but I'm being treated like the child care concierge, whatever. And
Yeah.
then for my business personally that I run, I work with a lot of lower SES families, so who are living below that poverty level. Right now, the area that I'm in South Florida, we deal with a high migrant population and a high immigrant population as well. So the families are very transient, and
Mm-hmm.
I have to chase parents down to get consent to just do my job in general. Like, hey, you signed up for this service. You have to be here. You cannot leave me with your kids by yourself. I know you got to work. I got to work too. We got to figure something out because I have to see
Mm-hmm.
you. You can't just leave the kids with any of us, right? I just had this conversation on,
You the babysitter.
yeah, I had this conversation with one of my assistants, because we go into the homes, we go into the community, we go into the schools, and he was telling me like we're preparing for a home visit, and he's like, Dr. Mondesir, I'm just trying to explain to you, when you go into this home, you are going to be the teacher, the cook, the referee, the blah blah blah. And I'm like, where are the parents, honey? Like, that's not your job. And he's like, oh, it's just so many. It's one day I counted 10 children, and he's only there to work with one.
For one.
But, there are
Mm.
siblings, there are cousins. And I'm like, where's mom and dad? And he's like, oh, no, they're with abuela. Okay, well, when you go into this home, we have to set some standards and some ground rules. Look, we can maybe play
Definitely
some,
have to do that.
yeah, we can play some games together, but you are not the babysitter. So I feel like that has added on an extra layer of work
Mm.
to just get the parents to understand what it means to get involved. We're supposed to teach parents how to communicate and work with their kids with special needs, right? But
Mm.
that
Yeah.
is very hard to do when you have parents who are just trying to make ends meet from one day to the next. So, this
Yeah.
house, from what he described, is kind of like the house where the entire community kind of comes together, the siblings, the cousins, and like they're going to drop the kids off with grandma so we can go work, right?
Hmm.
So, grandma is there, and it's just kids in and out. So I'm like, okay, we need
And grandma's
to,
not with it either.
and a lot of the times they don't understand. Then you got the cultural thing. So we try to go in there teaching how to communicate with kids and how to motivate them to engage in like the behaviors
Hmm.
that you want. But certain
Yeah.
cultures don't play that. So there is no
Right.
motivated to follow my rules. Learning
Hmm.
disability or cognitive disorder or not, in our culture, children do this, adults do this, and it's very hard to talk to them to get them to understand, okay, you have a kid with special needs, that may not apply. Those that mindset may not apply, those norms may not apply to this child in this situation, so let's try something different. So it's really
Hmm.
difficult to kind of get them on board in that way, but when it happens, when you finally get the buy-in, I think it's amazing to show families what their kids can do. Even though they have special needs, they can do so many things. They can communicate. But right now, with that business owner hat on, like you said, everything is on me. So my assistants,
Hmm.
whatever they do, those directives come strictly, like, they come straight from me. So whatever, I have to have my eyes on them, on the client, on the home life, on the school environment, and then I come up with a game
And it's
plan.
constant.
Yeah, it is nonstop. Even when I go home,
Hmm.
just like you said, I'm like, okay, how can I do this? Okay, then I came up with communication folders. And I think yesterday I'm like, maybe I just need to make a lesson plan. Okay, now I'm going back to teaching, but I'm not a teacher. But so,
Hmm.
you just have all of these different hats. And I'm like, all right, I am getting back to that point of like super
You
busy.
work from home?
Yeah, I work from home for one company, and then for my business, I go out in the community. And with the lower SES population, online really isn't an option. It's like a 50-50 chance. They might have internet, they might not. They might have a phone that's working, they might not. So, me, I have to like hit the ground running, and I got to be in their face, knocking on the door at the school. The school, they're starting to get familiar with me. And it's almost like, all right, school, you guys probably see the parents more than I do. Let them know I'm coming to the house. Like, I'm knocking on the door because I've called. I've sent emails. I don't think they check emails because the internet might be a question mark, right?
Now, what
So,
you could do is those teachers, those parents of those teachers, however the parent and the teacher communicate, I will put it in their notebook.
yeah, well, I just made them like, hey, this is my notebook, but I'm leaving it with you guys. So we have another method of communication because the other methods aren't working. And nowadays you
Mm.
can't, it's kind of taboo to just pop up at somebody's house. But I'm like, look, I've given you every warning possible that I'm coming to the house. You need to be there. If you're not there, now that's a whole nother issue. All right. That was part one of a two-part series. Don't forget, tune in next week where we conclude this episode. Hey everyone, it's your favorite BCBAD here, Dr. DeLauren, and I'm here to ask you to help us continue making great content for listeners everywhere by visiting www.forshittymoms.com, where you can make a monthly contribution. Also, visit us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok at For Shitty Moms. And that's shitty with an X, not an I.